Hi, this is Alex, and if you love music, well, you've come to the right place because we're all about albums. As you can see, I'm not in my usual listening space. In fact, I'm actually not even a temporary space. This is actually going to be a second residence for me, so this will be a permanent space, but you'll only see this part-time during the year. As I mentioned on past videos, when I was making videos at my rental space, I did not want to spend a lot of money to listen to music, and since I was away from my primary space, I figured let me get an all-in-one system. This system composed of a built-in amplifier, streamer, DAC, as well as some speakers all built into one. And this actually gave pretty good sound, and it was fun. Even though I did purchase quite a bit of vinyl and CD during my time in the rental, I was unable to play it till I got back to my primary residence. However, now that has changed. What I decided to do was to build a simple system, one that allowed me to play physical media, specifically vinyl. What I'm going to do today is show you what I did to accomplish that goal, and hopefully that will help several of you out there who may be searching for a rather more simple system, more streamlined, much more affordable, and yet a lot of fun, and it sounds great. I travel to audio shows yearly, and I usually go to the show in Chicago called AXPONA, which is the audio exposition of North America, and also the Florida Audio Exposition, previously known as FLAX, which has now changed its acronym, but nonetheless in February and in April, I am able to listen to a lot of music through many systems, some of which are quite pricey, others which are much more reasonable. And those are the rooms for the past year I have been a little bit more focused on to see where you get the best bang for your buck, as well as allow you to get quite a lot of enjoyment. I not only went to audio shows, but I also spent a lot of time reading some audio journals, as well as enlisting the help of Ron, who is the proprietor of Liquid Hi-Fi. After getting his input, as well as distilling the information that I had gleaned from reading, as well as attending audio shows, these are the purchases that I made. For my speaker choice, I went with the venerable British company KEF. Now, KEF has had a long history of successful passive speakers, and for its 50th anniversary, it released the LS50 passive speaker. A few years after that, due to its great success, the company decided to put out a wireless speaker called, of course, the KEF LS50 Wireless. In fact, I heard the premiere of the LS50 at one of the audio shows, and I was so taken by the sound of the speaker that my wife and I purchased it for my son, who was graduating that year from school. And he still has the speaker today and loves it. Then in 2006, KEF released the first wireless speaker, the LS50 Wireless, and this speaker had pretty good success, and I ended up purchasing this speaker early on. And although the sound was great, I must admit there were several bugs in the system. Some of the bugs included that the signal would drop while listening to Wi-Fi, which usually gave you better sound quality, but even occasionally with Bluetooth I would lose the signal. But more recently, KEF upgraded and released the new KEF LS50 Wireless 2 speakers. And this is what I will be showing today. And this is the speaker that I purchased. And I must say, I am very pleased with the sound quality, the look of the speaker, as well as the Reliability, I have not had any issue with the speaker, both Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, losing the signal. Now, each speaker has built-in amplifier with a 100 watt AB amplifier for the tweeter, and then 280 watts of Class D amplification for the mid-bass driver. And this gives a total of 380 watts per speaker. And it does give you quite a lot of sound volume with that internal amplification. Now, what's unique about this KEF design, going back to the original LS50, is the UniQ driver. Now, many of you may not be familiar with what a UniQ driver is, but basically the concept is that the tweeter is housed centrally within the mid-bass driver. This UniQ driver has been developed over many, many years, and in fact, they're up to its 12th generation on this speaker. And one of the issues early on would be that if you know that sound comes out in waves, and you could have interference with the treble as well as the mid-bass driver, as the waves may interact and interfere with one another. And so time alignment and dispersion of the sound is quite important, and KEF spent many years developing it till they got it just right. The tweeter is a 1-inch tweeter with a 5-inch mid-bass driver. The other improvement that KEF made on this speaker is using what they know as MAT, M-A-T, which stands for Metamaterial Absorption Technology. What it does is that it absorbs any rear waves that are occurring, and this helps clean up the sound quite a bit. These speakers contain multiple inputs in the rear. These would include HDMI eARC, which would allow you to hook up these speakers to a television, as well as a coaxial, optical, as well as a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary input. Finally, there's an Ethernet connection, and you can then connect the main speaker to an Ethernet port directly to your Wi-Fi to definitely not have any trouble. However, you do not need this. If you have good Wi-Fi signal throughout your home, or at least in the room that you have the speakers in, you should have no problem whatsoever. Additionally, you do not need to have one speaker tethered to the other, as opposed to the previous generation of the KEF LS50 wireless. The new speaker does not require you. It is available, so you can hook it up so that you definitely have both speakers singing together. However, I find that you really don't need this connection if you don't want to have it. Now, one of the benefits of wiring the speakers one to the other is you get better, higher resolution sound quality. When they are wired together, you top out at 24-bit 192 kilohertz, whereas without wiring, you still get high res, but it drops to 24-bit 96 kilohertz. Now, just to refresh your memory, listening in CD quality, which is 16-bit 44 kilohertz, is very good sound quality as you get with a CD. However, high resolution is considered higher rate than that of the standard CD. So to get higher resolution than CD, you have to have a streaming service that will stream at these levels, one of which is Tidal. This is one of the services I use. Another service that also gives you high resolution options is Qobuz. These speakers are also compatible with AirPlay 2, Chromecast, Bluetooth, as well as it being Roon ready. So what about the sound? I found the sound very pleasing to the ear. It's slightly warm, but it is clear, well balanced, and also I found that you can really just sit back and relax, not think about what resolution or all the different audio qualities that audiophiles speak about, but rather just enjoy the music and get lost within your collection. One of the drawbacks is the low end, although in small to medium-sized rooms, I think there's adequate low bass here. and I listen in a small room. Many of you who especially listen to electronic music or some heavy metal or other music that requires deep bass, you probably have to get a compatible subwoofer for the system, and KEF does make several, some cost-effective and some higher-end subwoofers to complete the sound for those of you who enjoy the low bass. As you can see from the images, I have the speaker sitting on a piece of furniture, which I will talk about later. However, I was not allowed to use speaker stands due to their appearance. You guessed it, the wife said no, no. So I had to then speak to Ron to figure out what I can do to make sure I can get rid of those nasty vibrations which may interfere with the sound quality coming from the speakers when they are sitting on a piece of furniture. Ron recommended from the company Isoacoustic the Aperta series isolation stands. Now these were quite cost effective. They fit the LS50 Wireless 2 speakers perfectly. And yes, indeed, I do find the sound to be quite easygoing, and I do not really hear any unwanted vibrational type sounds to interfere with my musical enjoyment. Next up was the source. What am I going to use for my physical media source? And I elected, since there is only one connection on the KEF master speaker, is a 3.5 millimeter connection, I had to decide between vinyl or CD, since I can only hook up one source at a time. I decided on vinyl, and thus I was looking at affordable but yet well-constructed, good bang for the buck turntable. Now, I wanted to find a turntable company that not only has been around for a while, but does have affordable turntables that are of good quality. Also, that the company has multiple turntables within their lineup that would allow me several choices to pick from in my price range. Also, it would allow me in the future, if I wanted to trade up within the same company's turntable lineup. Now, one of the positive things that has happened since there has been quite a big resurgence in vinyl over the past dozen or so years, more companies have gone back and they have been producing turntables. And there are also many new players, yes, pun intended, new players who have come into the market to get their piece of the pie. And that's just a benefit for us out there who enjoy vinyl. We get so many choices. Well, I narrowed down my choices to two companies, and they are Project as well as the British company Riga. Now, since I have owned in the past Riga turntables and I have enjoyed them and they have been quite reliable, I decided not to reinvent the wheel, but to continue on with Riga. Now, Riga has in their lineup now their planar series, and their planar series starts at the planar 1, and they have the planar 2, 3, 6, 8, and 10. And these range in prices to under $1,000 for the planar 1 to over $6,400 or $6,500 for the planar 10, and that is without the Phono cartridge. Looking at the lineup, I thought that the planar 3 would be the sweet spot in the lineup. When I thought I was going to go ahead and purchase the planar 3, I wanted to upgrade the table to include a better belt, as the Riga turntables are belt drive, as well as having a external power source. But at this point, Ron, who has quite a bit of experience and does represent Riga as well, he advised me that probably the easiest and best thing to do is to just get a turntable that includes all this that you want from the start. And so I settled instead on the Planar 6 turntable. Now the Planar 6 turntable, I got it in the charcoal color. I think it only comes in another color, which is red, and it does include a dust cover. For the price of the turntable, you also get the Riga RB330 tone arm, and this is a well-respected mid-level tone arm. The next step was to decide between a moving magnet and a moving coil cartridge, and since most of my musical enjoyment of vinyl came through moving coil, I wanted to stay with the moving coil. Ron suggested that I stay with one of the Riga Phono cartridges that is newer, and that is the Ania Pro moving coil low output cartridge, and I have been quite satisfied. And one of the benefits, it's that it is designed for the turntable, so you know it's going to be profiled correctly. The second thing is that it's a bundle, so you get a break in the price of the cartridge if you buy it with the turntable. And finally, it is a newer moving coil that they have produced that is not only very accurate and gets a lot of information from the groove, but is also extremely well balanced with a touch, just a touch of warmth, which is something I do like. One thing I would say about the Ania Pro is that it's an equal opportunity cartridge, and what I mean by that is that I think it has very good sound in both the treble as well as in the mid-range, which is probably the most important part of the musical range, as well as in the bass sound. Now, it's not the final word in resolution because you can pay 10 times the price of the Ania Pro, but believe me, you're not going to get 10 times better sound. Of course, the sound will be better, with better, depending on your definition of better, but you will probably get more audiophile quality sound from a more expensive phono cartridge. But I think this phono cartridge is easily a win-win for me, in that I'm getting all the sound quality I want, and I'm getting it at a fraction of the price of other cartridges, which I would probably have to spend 3 or 4 times the price of the Ania Pro to get similar sound quality. Now, the Planar 6 turntable does not have a built-in phono stage. For that, I would have to get my own phono stage and hook it up from the turntable, which has RCA outputs, into the speaker, which has a single input of a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary input. And so I had to be able to find cables that were compatible, which thankfully there were many, but I had to find a phono stage in a price range that would complement both the speaker as well as the turntable and phono cartridge, not only for the sound quality, but also in the price. You don't want to spend, 3 times the price of your turntable for your phono stage. So you have to be a little bit price conscious and aware of where your money is going. So here I was really lost. The phono stages that I were familiar with were probably too expensive for what I had here in this system. And again, Ron to the rescue. Thanks, Ron. He pointed me into the Hegel, which is a Norwegian company, and this is the V10. Now, when I looked up reviews of the V10 online, I read, I think, 4 reviews, and they were all superlative, and the price was right for this system. And the phono stage, as you see in the images, is small in size. In other words, it takes up half the space of a typical rack where you would put an audio component. And it is simple. It has a single button which is on off in the front. It flashes while it is warming up, and then it flashes solid when it is ready to play music. In the back there are multiple dip switches which allows you to select your settings for your Phono cartridge, and basically almost any Phono cartridge can sound good on the Hagel V10. Again, Ron was right, and I have zero complaints about this Phono stage. It's simple, it's affordable, and it sounds really, really good. Way better than it has any right to sound. The last two items are part of the stereo system, even though a lot of people don't consider them. One is speaker stands, or in my situation, furniture, which I purchased specifically for the sound system that I put together. Now, the furniture had to look good, and it has to be designed for audio in mind, which this does. I use the Salamander company. Now, I selected from the Chameleon series the Elba product 237. In this situation, this 5-foot piece of furniture easily accommodates the speakers as well as the isolation stands, as well as the turntable. Also housed within the middle of 3 cabinets is my Hagel Phono stage, as well as the Riga PS unit for setting the rate of speed for 33 1/3 or 45 RPM. Now, one thing about this Chameleon series, you can have almost any combination you want in this series. In other words, you don't have to have the 3 cabinet doors that I have with glass. You can have 3 cabinet doors with a mesh in front instead of glass. Or you can have a combination of drawers that pull out, or even just have an open shelf. Obviously, if you want drawers or other combinations, there will be an upcharge. The last thing I had to consider for my sound system was the cabling. Now, the cables, I know they tend to set people off. Some people think that, just zip wire, something that you can buy at Radio Shack, if I don't even think Radio Shack exists anymore, but any old cable will do. And I'm not going to argue that point. To me, however, I find that cables do make a difference in the quality of the sound, and it will affect the sound. And if you get the synergy right with your system, it can have a great positive effect. At least that's what I find in my system. Now, in my situation, I did several things. First, I decided I wanted the highest resolution possible. That's just me. I wanted to get the 24-bit 192 kilohertz ability from my streaming service, and therefore I connected the speakers with an Ethernet cable, which I bought an aftermarket pair. I went with an AudioQuest Cinnamon Ethernet cable. Now, as far as the auxiliary cable that I use for the Phono preamp to the master speaker, I used cabling from Nordost. I know a lot of you out there know who Nordost is. They're sort of a higher level cable company with some very, very expensive cables. No, I didn't go there. I bought one of their lower end cables, but still the quality of the sound was quite excellent from this simple upgrade that I did. It did cost a couple of $100s, but for me, it was well worth spending that money. Now, for those of you out there who are allergic to spending money on cables, and I don't blame you, it can run into several hundred and even thousands of dollars. The KEF LS50 Wireless 2 does include an Ethernet cable as well as a power cable. Yes, you will need a power cable for each speaker. The speakers have to be plugged into the wall to power the internal amplifiers. So you do get the cabling you need, so you don't have to spend any more money if you don't want to. Well, that's a look at my sound system, and no, it's not state of the art, but I got to tell you, the sound quality is way better than I expected. I'm very happy. I'm really enjoying my music. I love putting on vinyl, and when I want to listen to something brand new that was released on Friday, I just go to one of my streaming services, which in this case is Tidal. Occasionally I will use Apple Music, and I will stream the latest music, hoping to find some great new artists. So let me know if you have a better solution or another solution for a compact system that is affordable, like I have set up here in my second home. And also, if you have any suggestions for me in what I did with my system, or if you want to pick a bone with me about the specific products that I bought, go ahead. As always, this is Alex with All About Albums. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. And remember, keep them spinning.